Here we will see check constraint in SQL Server. Constraints are the rule or set of rules that are used to check the inserted or updated data values to the tables based on a certain condition, so that we can validate the newly inserted data values on a specific rule before accepting them to the table. The main advantage of check constraint is they ensure that all data in a column contains validated values according to the check constraint rule. We can apply check constraint to any column, then it checks for specific values while inserting any record. Check constraint can be created on a table level as well as column level. Check constraints can be applied only to a single column, but there can be multiple check constraints in a single table. General syntax for applying check constraint for a single column is create table name and then column name with data type and check condition. For example, create table orders. Here order ID is defined as an integer as a primary key and amount is declared as an integer, and check constraint is applied to the amount as amount should be greater than 0. We can create a check constraint with constraint keyword. General syntax for this is create table name, then column name, data type and constraint name with condition. For example, create table orders, then order ID as a primary key, amount as an integer and constraint is added as amount check amount should be greater than 0. Here amount check is the constraint name. We can apply check constraint to an existing table also. General syntax is alter table name, add constraint name and check condition. For example, alter table orders, add constraint amount check and check condition is amount greater than 0. We can remove the check constraint using alter table. General syntax is alter table name, drop constraint name. For example, alter table orders, drop constraint amount check, which is the constraint name. We can add the check constraint using SQL Server Management Studio also. For this, in Object Explorer window, open the table to which we want to add a check constraint. Open this table in design mode, then right click on the field on which you want to add a constraint and select check constraint. In the check constraint dialog box, select the expression field and in the check constraint expression dialog box, type the SQL expression for the check constraint. Here we will create table with check constraint. So first we will use the database. Here we will create table orders and we will add fields as order ID, int, not null, primary key, and we will add another field amount of type int and we will add check constraint, check amount greater than 0 and we will execute this. It will create orders table. To check, we will refresh it. Here orders table is created. If we try to insert the record in this table with amount less than 0, it is insert into orders and we will add values as 1, -5. It will create error since we have applied check constraint as amount should be greater than 0. Then we will create constraint at table level. For this also we will create new table. So create table order 1, order ID, int, not null, primary key, amount of int and we will add constraint check amount should be greater than 0 and when we execute this, it will create new table order 1 with check constraint as amount should be greater than 0. To create check constraint for existing table, first we will create table order 2 with fields order ID, int, not null, primary key, amount, int. We will execute this. It will create table order and then we will add constraint for the amount. So alter table order 2, add constraint amount check amount should be greater than 0 and when we execute this command, it will add a constraint to the order 2 table for amount should be greater than 0. We can drop the constraint using alter table. So alter table order 2, drop constraint amount check. Before this, we will insert a record into order 2. So insert into order 2 values 1, -5 and if we execute this command, it will give error since constraint is added to the table. And if we remove the constraint, And then if we try to execute this command, that is insert, it will add a record with -5 to the table. Now we will see adding constraint using SQL Server Management Studio. We will add a constraint to order to table. For this, open the table in design mode. Select the field on which you want to add a constraint. I will select amount, then right click, select check constraint, add, and here in expression field give amount should be greater than 0. Then OK and save the table.